Today we are going to take what we've been doing, where we've been combining like terms, and we are going to begin adding and subtracting linear expressions. We want to make sure that we remember something, though, about when dealing with parentheses, that before we start dealing with expressions, if I gave you a problem like 3 plus 5 plus 7 minus 21, that you're going to start out with parentheses. And you're going to look at both parentheses and you're going to say, well, is there anything that I can do with them? And you would look here at the first one, and 3 plus 5, you'd say, yeah, well, 3 plus 5 is 8, plus, and then you'd look at the second set of parentheses, and you'd ask yourself, is there anything I need to do there? And it's a 7 minus 21, so you know we add opposite with subtraction. And then you would solve 7 plus negative 21, and you would get a negative. What are you going to get when you add negative 21 to a positive 7? You should have gotten negative 14. And then you could go ahead and combine those two together, negative 14 plus 8, and you'd end up with a negative 6. But we had to make sure that we took care of what was going on in the parentheses on both before we combined them. And dealing with linear expressions, algebraic expressions, isn't a lot different. There's a couple of different ways that you could do it. But first of all, you're going to look and say, is there anything in the parentheses that I can combine or that I need to change? Well, if you look at x minus 2, you would recognize we're going to have to change subtraction to addition of the opposite. Okay? So now we have x minus 2, x plus negative 2 plus 3x plus 8. Can I combine anything within the parentheses? No. So at this point, I could rewrite this whole statement if I wanted to, and it would say x plus negative 2 plus 3x plus 8. I can get rid of those parentheses, and then I could move things around, and I could put my like terms together. And if I combine my like terms, I'd be combining x plus 3x plus negative 2 plus 8, and my final answer would be 4x plus 6. Okay? That's one way to do it. Or I could write it horizontally as x plus negative 2 plus 3x plus 8. And you've seen math written like this. Negative 2 plus 8 is 6. Keep my addition sign. 3x plus 1x is 4x. Either way, I get the same answer, and you get to choose the way you do it. You don't have to do it one way or the other. Okay? So, let's try another one. Just going to do another one here. We've got a negative 4y plus 3 plus 11y minus 5. The first thing I'm going to do is change that subtraction of 5 to add opposite. Okay? Now, I have negative 4y plus 11y plus 3 plus negative 5. You can write it up and down horizontally. Negative. The key to writing it horizontally is just to make sure that you line up your like terms. Okay? Now, if I go back to it in a vertical or in a if I go back to the way it's just written out here, the way it is, negative 4y plus 11y is going to give you 7y plus 3 plus negative 5 is negative 2. Or if I do it as we've lined it up here, 3 plus negative 5 is negative 2. 11 plus negative 4 is going to give me 7, and I keep the y. The two are the same thing, and it doesn't matter which way I do it, okay? That's for adding. It's just addition. Subtraction's really not going to be a lot different, but before we go to subtraction, let's take a look at this one. This one's a little bit different. We have added something to this one. What do we call it when we throw this 2 out here? What have we added to this? You might say we've added the distributive property. So now we have to make sure that we distribute the 2 through multiplication with the negative 7.5z and also with the 3. So when we do that distribution, because you've got to make sure you distribute it on both pieces, what you're actually doing is 2 times negative 7.5z plus 2 times 3 plus, and then we have that other set of parentheses, 5z minus 2, okay? And I know with that 5z minus 2, I can go ahead and change this to add opposite. Now I'm going to back up here. Well, what is 2 times negative 7.5? You should get a negative 15z plus 6, that's my one set of parentheses, plus 5z plus negative 2. Now, I'm going to combine my like terms. I'm going to combine my negative 5z, 15z, plus 5z, and then I'm going to combine my 6 plus negative 2. Negative 15 plus 5 would be negative 10z plus 6 plus negative 2 equals 4. And there are no other like terms, and so I have to stop with it right there. I could have chosen to take, once I had gotten my distributive property, I could have decided to take and line it up and say negative 15z plus 6 plus 5z plus negative 2. And when I finish it out, I still get 4. And I get negative 10z plus 4. The two equations or expressions look exactly the same. Okay. Now, we're going to go to dealing with the difference or subtraction. The process is pretty much the same. Okay? That subtraction kind of confuses things though. Okay? Because we know when we're subtracting, we don't ever subtract because we add opposite. So, with this first one, what number could be in front of the second set of parentheses that's not showing? What number could I multiply by that second set of parentheses that wouldn't change it at all? It would be the 1. Okay? So now what I've got is 5x plus 6 minus 1 times negative x plus 6. And at that point, we could say, well, we don't subtract, we add opposite. So that makes that 1 a negative 1. So now I've got 5x plus 6 plus, well, what is negative 1 times negative x? Negative times negative is positive. And I'm using distributive properties, so I have to say negative 1 times 6 gives me negative 6. So now it's nothing more than an addition statement. I have 5x plus x plus 6 plus negative 6. Combine the x's. 5x plus x is 6x. What is 6 plus negative 6? Well, it's 0. So if I was to simplify that down, it's going to look like 6x. Okay? This would actually be called our horizontal. I was calling it wrong a while ago. This is actually your horizontal. We've got everything lined up, and we have used the properties to move things around. What property allows me to, we're not even going there today. I don't want to deal with that just yet because I don't want to confuse you at this point. So I can do it like this. On the second one, I have 7y plus 5, and that looks perfectly fine the way it is. I'm going to leave it alone. Okay. Now, I'm going to change this subtraction to add opposite, so now I've got a negative 2 there. And I have to use distributive property with that negative 2 to distribute it to the 4. And what's happening inside those parentheses? I've got another subtraction there. I'm going to change this subtraction inside the parentheses to add opposite. Okay? So now I'm going to say negative 2 times 4 is negative 8y plus negative 2 times negative 3 is positive 6. I'm going to get I'm going to just line these up at this point. I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to line it up below the 7y plus 5. I could say negative 8y plus 6. This is an addition statement now. And 5 plus 6 is 11. And 7 plus negative 8y leaves me with a negative 1y, or negative y. Okay? And that's as far as I can go with it. I can't solve it. I don't know what the y is, but I can simplify. And this is my simplified expression. Okay? Now, let's put another one in, and let's try just giving you a couple more samples for the subtraction, because I don't think the addition is going to bother you at all, but I do think that maybe the subtraction, because of all the add opposite, I do think that it may give you a little bit of a struggle. So let's let's do this one. M minus 3 in parentheses minus negative M plus 12. Okay? I'm going to put, automatically, just go in here and I'm going to put a 1 right there, just so I know that it's there. Okay? And at this point, I'm also going to look, and M minus 3 becomes M plus negative 3. Okay? So before I start the distributive property, I'm going to change the subtraction sign that's between the two parentheses to add opposite. Okay? Now I'm going to distribute or multiply the negative 1 times negative M, and negative 1 times negative M is going to leave me with M. I'm also going to multiply that negative 1 times 12, and negative 1 times 12 is going to be add negative 12. Okay? You see where all that's coming from? Now, I'm going to put my like terms together. I'm going to combine my like terms. And so I would have M plus negative 3 plus negative 12. M plus M is 2M plus negative 3 plus negative 12 is negative 15. And I cannot go any further than that. Okay? One more. Negative 2 times C plus 2.5, remembering that you can use your calculators, minus 5 times 1.2C plus 4. Okay? Now, I'm going to fix this to a negative 5, add opposite. Okay? I'm going to use my distributive property. I'm going to distribute right there. And I have negative 2 times C. I have negative 2 times 2.5. So that's going to give me, should give me 5, only it's going to be a negative 5. Everybody agree with me? Okay, plus, distribute here, negative 5 times 1.2, and you get negative 6, C, plus negative 5 times 4 is negative 20. Okay, now my like terms, negative 2C plus negative 6C plus negative 5 plus negative 20, and I end up with negative 8C plus negative 25. Okay? That should, I hope that gives you enough that you can see, and you've practiced it enough that you'll be able to do it on just a small assignment. Now, we're going to take this information, though. We're going to kind of set up, we're going to do a story problem, because you always get at least one story problem. The original price of a cowboy hat is $D. You use a coupon and buy the hat for D minus $2. You decorate that hat, and then you sell it for 2D minus $4. Write an expression that represents the earnings from buying and selling the hat. And then you've got to be able to explain what that means. Well, if I'm going to sell it, I'm going to sell the hat for 2D minus 4. But I have to, before I know what my earnings are, I have to take out what the hat cost me. The hat cost me D minus 2. Okay? Add opposite, add opposite, add opposite with the negative 1. Okay? So now I end up with 2D plus negative 4 plus negative 1 times D, negative D, plus negative 1 times negative 2 is 3. Combine your like terms. We're finding out what I'm going to make. 2D plus negative D plus negative 4 plus 3. 2D plus negative D is D by itself, plus negative 4 plus 3 is a negative 1. Okay? What does that mean? That means Mrs. Rakestraw made a mistake, because that should not have been, that should have been a 2. And that leaves this. Sorry about that, kiddos. Leaves this to a negative 2. Okay? D plus negative 2. So what that says is I doubled my money by selling the hat for twice as much as I paid for it. Okay? Here's your assignment. It's very, very small. I don't want to stress you out. You have 7 problems. And then I do want you to go ahead and do textbook page 91, the review stuff. And it's going to be 32 to 35. Okay, that'll be it.